At the very heart of the City of Light, a renovation project of staggering complexity has just been finished. Its aim, to reinvent the centre of Paris. Standing in the first arrondissement, a stone's throw from the Seine, the Quartier des Halles is the lungs of the capital. Within these narrow streets is concentrated an incredible range of amenities. Interwoven over 6 hectares can be found the world's biggest subterranean railway station, comprising 5 subway lines and 3 main lines, the second busiest shopping centre in France, and a complex network of traffic lanes and car parks. It's a subterranean city beneath Europe's largest pedestrian zone. Each day, 1.3 million people crisscross this impressive multi-layer network.
It's a space with extraordinary potential. The crowds are there, it has a driving force.
This driving force is above all supplied by Châtelet-Les station. Opened in 1977, it was built to handle 40,000 customers a day. 20 times this number were coming through in the early 2000s.
1,500 regional express trains come through here each day. During rush hour, a train arrives at each platform every 2 or 3 minutes. That's a vast amount of through traffic.
Through traffic which the infrastructure had difficulty handling at rush hour. Worse still, passengers lost their way in the labyrinth of corridors and escalators. The space could not breathe. It was suffocating through lack of direct street-level access. The same problem was true for the upper floors. A victim of customer volume, the shopping centre was deteriorating. It was cramped, with little opening onto the outside world.
The Forum des Halles was virtually buried alive, inasmuch as the shopping area was mainly concentrated in the basement. At pavement level, it was inexistent.
It was an incoherent, chaotic space, added to which there was petty crime there in the 1990s. So Les Halles had a terrible reputation. It was a place which was never appreciated by Parisians, nor those from the surrounding regions, and even less by tourists.
The image of the neighbourhood was never on a par with its importance. Since the Middle Ages, Les Halles had fed Parisians. The 19th century saw the building of 10 great market halls in steel and glass. Designed by the architect Victor Baltard, they gave the neighbourhood its name and its soul. On the 27th of February 1969, trading activities moved 20 kilometres south to Rungis. It was the end of 800 years of history. The neighbourhood lost its raison d'être. But it was its very fabric which was most severely hit, with the destruction of the Pavillon Baltard. Construction work began on a huge underground railway station. It was traumatizing for Parisians to see the city centre ripped open. In the early 2000s, the city of Paris opened a great debate into the future of this unpopular neighbourhood. At the centre of the plan decided upon was the strong conviction that the area needed to be dug up and redimensioned to correspond with the exceptional number of people who frequented it.
They went into how this space could be made more comfortable, brighter, more comprehensive, more accessible, and above all, how links between the underground world and the surface could be made more direct and natural.
The Garden of Les Halles was to be a large rectangle, which could be very easily crossed from north to south, from east to west. And access to the trains and the shopping center was to open out towards the garden in order to entice people outside and make it easy to find one's bearings once there.
To put it simply, everything arriving here comes from the basement. It was a question of how to take the through traffic arriving at the station and link it to street-level Paris. Through traffic structured the project.
It was an extensive project at all levels. Underground, the station needed to be updated. Its surface area doubled, passenger circulation made more fluid, and direct surface access opened. The shopping centre was to be refreshed, and its surface area increased. Some of the vehicular thoroughfares were to be closed and car parks converted into shopping areas. At surface area, the 4-hectare garden was to be redeveloped and a unique architectural monument erected. Its name, the Canopy. This is what links the basement to ground level. It's the new face of Les Halles. Like the canopy of a forest, its roof of glass and steel has a plant-like quality to it. It is a vast glass ceiling of 22,000 square meters, the equivalent of 3 football pitches, and is suspended between 2 buildings nearly 100 meters apart. It is a suspension bridge, comparable to the greatest works of art.
The canopy is actually a bridge, or more precisely, a succession of bridges spanning 100 meters. To give you an idea, that's about the size of a structure you would build to cross a large stream or river.
Its impressive size is only rivaled by its weight.
7,000 tons of framework. That's humongous. It's the weight of the Eiffel Tower.
This is no traditional office block. It's truly monumental.
This was not one work site, but several, all advancing together. At the same time as work was going on in the station, other teams were working in the shopping centre and on the surface. And all this work continued in the presence of the public.
The constraints were clearly defined. No closure, no impact on the shopping center, and even less so on the station, where the sheer volume of daily through traffic ruled out any interruption of services due to renovation work.
No question of closing a station central to the efficiency of the network connecting Paris and its suburbs, handling 850,000 commuters each day. No question either of closing the most lucrative shopping centre in France. The crowds were everywhere, alongside, above and below the works. This promiscuity made the redevelopment work site at Les Halles exceptional. "2011 marked the beginning of this gigantic operation, which was to last 7 years and cost €1 billion. Before rebuilding, it was necessary to destroy the visible part of the shopping centre, the Pavillon Villerval. To minimise inconvenience to customers and inhabitants, only a very limited time window was allowed for the destruction work.
We had strict time limits to avoid noise disturbance. We could only make noise between 7 and 10 in the morning. 3 hours didn't give us much time to demolish what was standing.
The work immediately encountered another problem: how to bring in the necessary construction materials. This was a huge logistical challenge because the site was at the very centre of one of the most tightly packed cities in the world.
You can imagine the problems which crop up when you're trying to deliver 10,000 tons of girders, 40,000 square meters of glass, and tens of